Ulrich, let's try now. Can you hear me, Ulrich?
Hello, yes, I can hear you.
Okay, and you're calling, it says, from Mexico, correct?
Yes, we've talked before.
I thought so too, and I recall you don't know much about American politics, but you're calling in today to give us some kind of lecture about how it is the rhetoric on the left that is responsible. You go ahead and give your little piece there. It's not about to go well for you, though, just like last time, Ulrich.
It never does for him.
I wonder how you think I don't know much about American politics, but yeah, it's okay because I disagree. I don't know much. I think
no, because every time you've called in, you've shown you don't know much. And anytime I do my thing with you, where I ask you a line of questions, you either get it wrong or have to throw your hands in the air, and it's usually very basic shit.
Yeah, this is the same guy who also doesn't know shit about biology, and his entire scientific background is just look around, I can see it with my eyes, and that's a standard of evidence. This is also the guy who called in last time I was on AXP, I believe it was, or no, a couple times ago, to say that how can we blame Christianity for everything wrong in the world, and just a bunch of weird hyperboles. It's never good with Ulrich. I'm not looking forward to it.
Give us your thesis here.
Yeah, I mean, you have been demonizing the left. You say he's literal Hitler and stuff like that. Then it must be a heroic deed to kill someone, must it not? And that's what happened now. The left,
so Ulrich, hang on. Before we even engage, I love engaging these people in the let's say you were correct. Let's start with saying you were correct. Ulrich,
yes.
You're saying, so that kind of language that is associating it with something that was defeated by violence in the past, that means that it is absolutely the responsibility of the left who uses that language. Therefore, they would be the ones responsible, right?
Yeah, somebody might actually.
Okay, hey, can you tell me what was one of the leading motivations of the Minnesota murderer who killed the two liberal politicians? Do you remember that? I mean, you say you know a lot about American politics. Well, it happened in June of 2025. Two Democratic politicians were killed in Minnesota. It was a state lawmaker and their spouse. Do you remember why?
No, I don't remember the event. So
I know, Ulrich. It was a whole 3 months ago. So how could you, Ulrich? It was they were a very anti-abortion person. So would you say that because the right, Charlie Kirk included, was talking about how abortion is murder, abortion is genocide, abortion is evil, that the person who went to kill, according to the right, that the person who went and killed them would have been an act of heroism according to their own standard, and therefore in that scenario it would be the right's rhetoric that was responsible for the death.
You're engaging in whataboutism.
Sir, I'm not. Ulrich, actually, whataboutism is when you try to distract from the point. This is actually about, no, I took your point and repeated it to you and you agreed. So I am checking the consistency of your point. You are, and by the way, you are now trying to commit a fallacy called the fallacy fallacy. You're actually bad at it. But the fallacy is going, I've named a fallacy and said you've committed it, therefore the argument is also wrong. This isn't, right now, my argument, it's not even an argument. This is a consistency check, and I want to see if your values are consistent. So please learn how fallacies actually work before you try again next time. Again, you are bad at this. So, Ulrich, let's see if you are consistent. Is it also the right's fault when that same standard you just said is applied?
No, because the right never calls people Hitler and stuff like that.
Got it. So it's only if they call them Hitler. What about fascist? When the left called them fascist, is that a call to violence?
They're not fascist.
No.
Don't get it because you don't know what fascist means.
Ulrich, I don't have the patience for you today. Answer the question. If the left calls the right fascist, is that a call to violence?
No, but...
Wait, what do you mean no? So it's only if they say Hitler or Nazis. The only call to violence is if they call them Nazis or Hitler?
Also fascist. Yeah, you shouldn't call people fascist.
Also fascist. Okay, also fascist. Thank you. Also fascist. If the left calls them fascists. So when Donald Trump in 2024 at his rallies called the left fascists, he was calling for violence, correct? Excuse me, what?
I don't defend Donald Trump.
No. Answer the question. So answer the question. If you don't defend Trump. Great. So then you should be able to answer consistently. When Donald Trump called them fascists, was it a call to violence?
Well, your argumentation is really weird.
No, it isn't. Just answer the question.
From the left.
Was it?
A guy got killed.
Great. Was it a call to violence? Ulrich, you fucking idiot. If you would just, it is very clear what we are doing here. It is very clear what we are doing here, Ulrich. We are making sure you are consistent. So you say calling them fascist does lead to the violence. When Donald Trump called the left fascist, are you saying that also was a call to violence?
No, but he called for violence on 6th of January, I give you that.
Great, but when he called them fascists, did he?
I don't remember that he did that, but yes, then yes. The answer is yes.
Great. Okay, so when the left calls them authoritarian, is that calling that for violence? Because it would be a hero to end authoritarianism.
Well, I mean, authoritarian is a wide spectrum. You are kind of authoritarian too, but
great. So if you call somebody when the left calls Trump and the right authoritarian, are they, like you are saying with their rhetoric, calling for violence?
No.
So not authoritarianism, just if they say fascist, if they say fascist, Hitler, or Nazis, right?
Yes, because
great. There are plenty of examples of Turning Point USA and their people, including Dennis Prager, including Dinesh D'Souza, calling the left Nazis, calling the left fascists, and calling the left, we can go as far as the Hitler thing goes. I'm also old enough to remember the signs with Obama drawn as Hitler in the protests. Yep. So you will now agree, since it is happening from both, including the organization that you're describing, that by your standard, the right calls for violence against the left and the left calls for violence against the right.
But not recently. It's you.
Yes, recently. Yes, recently. Yes, recently. But by the way, you want to talk about fallacies? Have you learned what special pleading is yet? It means good enough for me, but not for thee. You want to sit here and ignore the fact that the right's rhetoric is about fucking demons, that we are possessed demon people that are murdering babies, that abortion is the actual genocide, even as they fund a real genocide. Even as last week, Turning Point USA, including Charlie, was celebrating Donald Trump killing Venezuelan civilians. And you want to sit here and call in and be like, it's the left rhetoric that's the problem. We have definitely entered an era of violence, but to be so myopic, to be so actually the opposite, to generalize so broadly, when, by the way, Ulrich, you're already failing at the first point. You don't even know who the fucking shooter is or what their motivation was.
Yes. Now we know it was a trans activist.
No, we don't know that, because that report that came out through the Wall Street Journal has already been said. We don't actually know that. Those reports have not been confirmed by the ATF. And all that there has been is a description of multiple arrows on the casings that somebody associated with quote unquote trans ideology. Ulrich, what is trans ideology, if a trans ideology exists?
Yes, we've talked about it before. I want to go down that road again.
Let's do it.
So, okay. Somebody just by thinking they're the opposite gender, they are now the opposite gender. That's an ideology.
Nope. Trans ideology, if it exists, only is the right to exist without your feelings getting in the way of them participating fairly in society. That's the only trans ideology you can talk about. Anything else is backed by psychology, and that would be like calling fucking I don't know. Well, you guys do call vaccines an ideology because you're dumb. So there is that.
This is what always happens with Ulrich is that his entire. This is what always happens with Ulrich is that his entire argument is just his feelings and assumptions. And anytime he's asked a direct question to actually test the logic of anything he's saying, he just completely deliberately misunderstands the question and flies off the handle into some other shit. It never goes well. It just sucks every time.
Ulrich, I'm so ignorant and stupid, and I love it. I'm just trying out your shtick, but more honestly. I'm just bragging about my ignorance as you do every time you call in, just more indirectly. You should try it out. It's free.
I also love the assertion that the shooter was a trans activist, and we're gonna call that now. This is all this problem with the left demonizing the right, and we're gonna ignore all of the abortion clinics that are firebombed and shot up and shit because people like Charlie Kirk say that abortion is like the Holocaust. So, like, again, you're just not consistent. You just don't like a thing that isn't happening in your head. It's the same thing as every single call. You imagined a thing and now you're very scared of it. It sucks, dude.
Ulrich, are thousands of unjust deaths a year worth having a Second Amendment that we do not restrict?
No.
Well,
you put me in the box. I'm not a Republican.
I'm glad to know. I'm glad to know you don't agree with that. That was Charlie's position, that those are actually the cost and that cost is worth it.
Okay, and then therefore he needs to be killed.
Nope, never said that.
That's your line of reasoning.
Never said that.
Yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is what you've been saying since the beginning, is that we're cheering this on and we're excited about this, which if you've been paying attention to the first, 20 minutes of the show, we were repeatedly over and over talking about how this is a fucked up, horrible situation. So once again, you have invented a scenario in your head, you got very scared of that scenario, and now you called in to blame us for the scenario that you invented. It's a very, I know you're not American, but it is what MAGA does all the fucking time. You draw a picture of a demon on a paper and then freak out about it and call it a Democrat. It's just fucking lazy, and it's all that we expect from you, Ulrich. It's every fucking call with you.
Hey, do you believe that it's wrong if somebody posts something political that I dislike, is it wrong for me to try to get them fired from their job?
Yes, it's very wrong.
So you do agree that the concentrated effort from right-wing personalities like Laura Loomer, like Milo Yiannopoulos, like pretty much all the biggest on Twitter right now, telling people to make it your job today to get 50 people fired, that the Republican backlash is wrong, right?
Yes, I don't know what you mean.
Do you acknowledge that there is a connection? Do you acknowledge that there is a connection between poverty and violence?
What is that connection, though?
The more poverty equals more violence, and more unemployment equals more violence. These are well studied and known. Great, you acknowledge that. Wonderful. So do you acknowledge that an attempt to remove the livelihood from thousands of people who don't agree with you politically is an attempt to push them to violence, to give them no other avenue but violence, and therefore you will agree that the response today from Republicans, in only just this one example so far, is them attempting to push the left to violence?
So we're going down a rabbit hole.
Could you please just answer the question? It has everything to do with it. You're sitting here and you're talking about how the left is the problem. It's their rhetoric. So I'm making sure you are consistent.
Yeah. Yes. If it is like you say, yes.
Great. And all of the people online who are saying these people celebrating are making me so mad, we're done with debate, you chose violence, so we're going to do violence too. They aren't actually pro freedom of speech, because an individual taking a violent act, you wouldn't be pro freedom of speech if when somebody violates it, you throw it out the door, right?
Right.
Great. So now give me an example of something I've said where I have in any way encouraged a person to commit violence by my rhetoric.
You just did. You call Israel to be committing a genocide.
Israel is committing a genocide.
They are.
Definitionally. They are committing a genocide. So what you're saying is back in the 30s, if you had been around and you knew about what the Germans were doing to the Jews, you would have been like, guys, stop. Don't call it a genocide. They're doing those things over there
against Germans.
Because we can't call for whatever it takes to stop it, diplomatic or not. And by the way, I think it would have been much better if before Hitler rose to power, we used debate, we used the power of protest, we used the power of speech to stop Hitler from rising to power. Once Hitler's in power and committing a genocide, there's really only one way to take care of that problem. But I would have preferred to be...
Look what you just said.
Excuse me?
Look what you just said.
Yes, Ulrich. Oh boy, Ulrich, let me just make it very clear. I think the only way to stop Hitler after he had killed so many people would have been to kill Hitler. I'm sorry, that's true of me. And I think we currently have the ability, like I just said, to intercept in the 20s and the 30s. Before it gets to that point, we could use democracy, debate, protest, and the things like this show to stop a wannabe Hitler from becoming actual Hitler.
Mm-hmm.
But if they become and you think they're Hitler, then it's okay for you to kill them.
Wait, I'm sorry, Ulrich.
Just out of curiosity.
Wait, hang on. Are you asking me that if Donald Trump got to the point that he had murdered 6 million, let's say, Mexicans, I am saying it would be okay to kill him? Is that what your question is?
Has that happened?
If that happened, boy, I think you can work it out yourself. Before we let a wannabe dictator get to that point, though, I don't think we focus on that and start making the plan for that. I think we beat them in debate. What a weird position you're taking. I think it was a just killing when we killed Osama bin Laden. Was that right or wrong?
It was wrong to educate him and to form him the CIA. That's what America did.
Yes, of course. Of course we are culpable. But when you had the shot and he had a gun, would you have taken the shot or not?
Yes, they needed to kill him.
Yes, no shit.
But the United States are to blame for that problem.
Agreed.
So is it wrong to say if someone is doing what Osama bin Laden did or what Hitler did, that person should be killed? Is that wrong to say?
No, but it's wrong to say that Trump is literally
and is it
Hitler.
wrong to say,
and
is it wrong to say, Ulrich, and is it wrong to say that someone is starting to behave like Hitler or Osama bin Laden did, so we now need to have serious, thoughtful discussion and open debate and shut them down before they get to that point so that we don't have to resort to violence? Is that wrong to say?
No, that's not wrong.
Great. Then you agree with our position.
Then you agree with our position, you dumb sack of shit.
Thanks, baby.
Once again, you have created a problem in your head that nobody else has and decided to argue against it. You're not calling in about the fact that libs of TikTok put out a statement in all caps saying this is war after Charlie Kirk was killed. Libs of TikTok being the one who also engages in really hateful, inflammatory rhetoric, especially towards LGBT people, doxes LGBT people, especially teachers and doctors and what, and calls for violence and is directly responsible for all manner of bomb threats and fire bombings and violence and all sorts of shit. This person now saying this is all out war because Charlie Kirk was killed. You didn't say shit about that. You're just grumpy about the fact that we are saying someone who behaves like Hitler is behaving like Hitler because that means violence, despite the fact that you agree that's what we should be doing.
So Ulrich, my email address, it's contact@qanaline.com. When we're done with this call, what I want you to do is go get me the links. I'm sure there has to be a bunch of them. Go get me the links of all the times you called in to right-wing shows and talked about the violent rhetoric there to show that you're consistent. Because saying things like this is war, by the way, they're all things that they said after Trump's attempted assassination, which turns out wasn't by a lefty in either case. And by the way, I won't even blame their batshitness on right-wing ideology, despite the fact they both had right-wing associations. They were both clearly crazy fucking weirdos. It's weird how little we know about the first one, but the second one we do know plenty about. So Ulrich, if you'll just send me an email of all the times you called in to show that you're consistent, because you've already acknowledged that there is plenty of what you would say is equally violent rhetoric, and then we will start from the place of, okay, at least you're consistent, so now we'll discuss whether or not your standard is apt or fair. But what I hear you is basically you going, the left has reacted and responded to the people being fucking unhinged, the people who used to literally march around with little paper mache of Hitler dressed up as, rather Obama as Hitler on a noose. And I'm very much looking forward. Oh, you know what'll work? I'm looking forward to you calling and arguing and condemning when the noose, on a right-wing radio show, that noose was erected outside of the Capitol that was meant for Mike Pence. Mind you, I'm looking forward to you. Just send me the links of all of those, and then we'll chat again because I'll know that you are actually calling in good faith.
Love to hear you talk about when Donald Trump said, "Knock the crap out of protesters. I'll pay your legal fees if you beat the shit out of anybody who disagrees with me." Love to hear about that. Yeah. I'd love to hear about any of this shit. And also, I'd love to hear why you think it's justified to say this is a trans activist, and you don't talk about all the other cisgender shooters, all the white cisgendered men who have committed just about every other shooting, espousing the four, maybe by your implication, 5 people who may or may not have been trans. Would love to hear about it. But once again, it's not going to happen, Ulrich. It's bullshit. We all know it's bullshit.
Is it wrong to bypass due process, Ulrich?
May I respond to anything? You asked me tons of questions.
You're right. You're right. After you send me those links, we'll see you, Ulrich.